Hello, I'm Nathan Judo. I'm here with Wolves reporter Mr. Liam Keane. Liam, Wolves 0, Brentford 2, and look, incredibly, that scoreline kind of flattered Wolves. It could have been a lot worse. It was a poor day at the office.
Certainly. When you take the 2 disallowed goals into account as well, Brentford scored 4 in that first half, essentially. I think they perhaps got a little bit unlucky, Brentford, not to score more, even in the second half. And Mbeumo having 2 chances, maybe a third actually hitting the crossbar at one point. It's almost like a blur to me now, because it feels like Wolves just got completely knocked out the way. They got brushed aside, didn't they? It was comparing to the performances earlier this season, so far this season, it was a horrendous performance, really.
It really was. I mean, the first 10 minutes they looked bright, they looked positive, and then the rest, after 10-15 minutes, Brentford took control. And I mean, Toney. 10
minutes is all you can give them, really, to be honest. But, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Toney just tore them to shreds. He's not the first big striker to come here and do a number on Wolves, and look, they just had no answer. And when you cannot score a goal, then you are going to lose games. You're going to lose a lot of them.
He's almost Wolves' kryptonite, isn't he, Ivan Toney? Not him specifically, but the type of player.
The type of striker, yeah.
Antonio's done it. Mitrovic has done it in the past.
Yeah, Tammy Abraham, these kind of players. Exactly. Yeah.
A player who is big and phisical, but also very athletic. Good on the ball, good in behind. And that's exactly what Toney is, and he caused Wolves all sorts of problems. Picking the ball up in almost very easy to defend areas, and just playing very simple passes that Wolves they were just all over, completely at sea. Unfortunately, I have to name Marcel and Seisel particularly were very poor. Kilman made a couple of mistakes. Cody's positioning was off a few times.
Yeah.
I can't give any credit to any of them, to be honest with you. And despite having a wonderful start to the season, Ruben Neves and Gian Martino next to him were almost anonymous in that first half. Everything was coming through them like a sieve.
Well, when you pull at the back and you can't score up front, you've got major problems. Like you said, defensively they were poor. They gave the ball away so many times in that first half, and they were just, it was a matter of time before Brentford scored, really. And look, they did create some chances, Wolves, I guess, but there are no shots on target. It kind of the whole game epitomized really when Traore crossed that ball for Jimenez, and Jimenez missed the header. I mean, you saw Jimenez at the end of the. I don't know if you saw his head guard. He threw his head guard down. He's in frustrated at the end of the game. They need some goals, and they've got all these attackers now, but the confidence seems very, very low to me.
I'm not sure it is, if I'm honest with you. I wouldn't describe it as low, because I feel like they are adapting to the system. And it's not an excuse for this performance. I do think they have adapted to the system. I think they've been performing very well, but it just didn't click today. It's difficult for me to put my finger on it, to be honest, which almost sounds difficult when I'm trying to analyse a game, but there was no intensity. They were very slow, they were sloppy on the ball, they were slow to the ball. The transitions were so poor. I mean, every time Wolves regained possession or lost the possession, the intensity and the desire to get the ball back or do something with it was just totally not there. I would hope it's a flash in the pan, it's a one-off. So far it has been a one-off, that performance, but if this continues, I mean, Wolves will be in trouble, because they can't afford to perform like that again against Spurs on Wednesday or against Southampton next week. The
worrying thing for me, Liam, is that I kind of said this before, is that it's all well and good playing well and losing, but you're not going to play well all the time. So when you do play badly, of course you're going to lose, because if you're playing well and losing, then it's just a recipe for constant disappointment, unfortunately. And as well as they have played, and I understand there's a transitional period, I understand that it's going to take time for this team to gel. I get that, but at the end of the day, they've played 5, they've lost 4 games. And if they get beat, if they go to Southampton and play like that, they're going to get beat again. And it doesn't take long before you are adrift of that mid-table lot, and you're getting dragged into a kind of relegation battle. And the way that they played today is a little bit worrying. They need to score goals. I wonder if Large might change that on Wednesday, maybe play a few more of these, just to get that confidence up, to get the ball in the back of the net, because if they don't, then this is going to keep on repeating, unfortunately.
He may do, and if I'm honest, that first half, it's as poor I've seen Wolves for a long time, if I'm honest with you, particularly that first half. Yes, they did improve in the second half, but not enough to warrant a goal. And the biggest worry for me is 11 shots and 0 on target. When for the last 10 minutes, but for longer than that as well, with more players, for the last 10 minutes in particular, they had no fullbacks and they had 2 more attackers on. They had every single attacking player, senior attacking player of this club on the pitch for 10 minutes, most of them for 20, 25 minutes, and couldn't get a shot on target. That's the one for me that is a real big concern, because they have created chances in previous games. Today they had half chances, nothing massive. 1 or 2 that, half a yard more, 1 or 2 that looked off the pace by half a yard. I think Jimenez looked off the pace totally today.
Yeah, he did.
I thought Hwang looked sharpish when he came on, but he was almost working on his own. Tracking, he was pressing on his own at one point. I mean, it was the intensity. That's the word I keep coming back to. It just wasn't there throughout the whole squad. And this system, largest system, relies on that intensity, relies on that pressing. And the attitude of the players have been very good in doing that so far. And the attitude today was left wanting. And that for me was the big issue. The lack of a good attitude mixed with the lack of intensity resulted in a very passive performance that resulted in a deserved defeat where they could have been, they could have scored a lot more, Brentford, as we said.
How long is it before it becomes worrying about Raul? Because he's not the player that we saw, and he will take time and he needs to get that confidence back. Is it literally just get that goal and he could take off? Because his body language looks really bad, doesn't it? He looks frustrated, he looks hunched.
Today it did. Today it did. I don't feel he's been totally that way this season so far. I feel like he has, he's created a few chances, a few neat flicks here and there. It's slowly grown and grown and grown. And then today just fell off a cliff. There was nothing there. The movement wasn't there. Trincao alongside him, if you don't mind me saying, was also the movement and the intensity was not there. Troy was making runs and he was the only forward player really making himself.
It's that one outlet really, wasn't it? Yeah.
He was the only player making himself available at times. And that just sucks all the energy out of the team when you haven't got an outlet. We were talking about the high press before. They're trying to play out from the back with Jose Sarr, and every time they're passing it 1 yard to Cody or Size, Toney and Mbeumo are on you straight away. They forced a mistake. They lost the ball. They were undone tactically today, as well as with the fights. To be honest, I don't think Wolves weren't up for it today, and that in itself isn't acceptable for a Premier League club. Isn't acceptable for these fans. They deserve a bit more than that.
What do you do, Spurs and Southampton next week? I assume we'll see Willy Bolly, and to be honest, I think Willy Bolly will probably, if he has a decent game and looks fit, then he'll probably play against Southampton. Yeah. The likes of Hwang, the likes of Daniel Podence. I mean, there's definitely positions up for grabs in this side, isn't there?
There's positions up for grabs, and Bruno hinted to that in yesterday's press conference, talking specifically about Marcel. But he made a general point as well to say that players have to prove themselves every day, otherwise there's a player ready to take your shirt. Yeah. I think we'll see a lot of changes on Wednesday, I really do, and depending on how Wednesday goes, of course, I think we might see a message sent at Southampton. I think we could see one or two names dropped because today wasn't anywhere near good enough for what the standards that Wolves set themselves, the standard that Bruno sets this team as well. And I'm going to be very interested in what he says in the post-match press conference, which we could have anytime now. But I cannot imagine he'll be happy with that because I just don't think the behaviour, the attitude, the intensity was there from a squad and a group that normally I think is very good at that. Who plays for each other and plays for the fans, and today I don't think they did that whatsoever.
Wolves 0, Brentford 2. For all the post-match reaction, make sure you log on to expressandstar.com.